I'm about Brian. Go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to God Talk. This is Thursday, November 21st, and we've got a great group here tonight. And we are going to be talking about decolonizing religion. And that was Elsie's idea, so I'm really excited that Elsie's here. And so we always start out our God Talk with uh, our introductions, which includes your name, your pronouns, and this is just the name you want to be called tonight. So since we have two Craigs, one of them always goes by Craiger, and for example, so if it's something else elsewhere, that's fine. And your pronouns and the icebreaker question for tonight, this could be a repeat. I couldn't remember if we'd ever had this one before, but I bet if we did, there's not too many of you that were here then. So the question is, if you could be an animal, what would it be? So I'm going to start, and we'll kind of go in the order that we connected, or at least something similar to that, what I can see on my screen. And so I'm Carol, she, her, and I would want to be a bird. I really love watching like hawks and eagles and things like that fly, but I don't know, I can't stand the thought of being a bird of prey, so I think I would want to be some kind of songbird. Some kind of pretty, colorful songbird. So that's me. How about you?
I'm
Can you say it?
yeah, but hey, everybody, Michael here,
Marco, he, him.
Monkey, I love monkey.
You want to be a monkey? That fits you very well. I love it. Okay, birthday girl, you go next.
Monkey, yeah.
Unmute. Okay. I'm Suzette, she, her, and goats are my spirit animal. So I would pretty much want to be a goat. I would want to be one of my goats because they have the good life, but I like that they're really independent, and I like that they have an incredible sense of balance. So they can stand on top of anything and own it. So that's the thing I love the most about them. They never fall. Their ability to balance is an amazing thing to me. So I'm a goat.
Nice. Okay, Lynn.
Hi, I'm Lynn, she, her. I guess, you guys some of the most fantastic icebreakers. I never thought about this. But I think I'd probably want to be a puppy, a dog. Because puppies, they give love and they get petted on all the time and they receive love and when as they grow from puppies to adulthood, they're loyal friends and so I'd want to start out as a puppy and grow into a dog that has a nice life with a good owner.
I
That's a good one. Okay,
Jacob,
Leo and Jared.
go.
I had to oh yeah, hi, my name's Jared. My pronouns are any, all, everything. I own them, right? I have the copyright. Sorry everybody else. Additionally, so I put a lot of thought in it because there's not a single creature on this planet that humanity has left untouched and undevastated by ecological disasters, except for Sasquatch. So
Oh, except for what?
Sasquatch. So that is the animal that I have chosen. Yes, yes. May he reign long and forever and ever. Amen. Right? Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's the idea of being in the most remote parts of the world, right? Being able, being left alone, and then whenever people find you, they go missing and stuff like that, right? So nobody fucks with you, right? Like, right? Like, it's great, right? Like, it's the closest to a peaceful existence, right, that an animal can bear. So that's what I would choose.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Leo, him. If I could be an animal, in Mexico, my grandma used to have this gray parrot, and he would just be feisty, but he lived a good life. So I would choose to be a gray parrot. Yeah.
You're on mute, Carol.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry, Elsie. Okay.
Oh. Elsie, pronouns she, her. Sometimes queen, depends on the day. Just kidding.
Marco, I can keep Marco.
Marco said, I'm King Marco. So you go right up.
Perfect. If I could be one, I would be a horse. It's like my favorite animal. I think they're really beautiful, elegant. Yeah, I would just be a horse.
Excellent. I think that's lovely. Craig.
There you go.
Hi, my name is Craig. Pronouns usually he, him, but any pronouns are fine with me. As far as what animal I would be, I mean, I was not considering like cryptozoology until Jared said the Sasquatch. So, you know what? How about the chupacabra? There we go. That's my answer. Chupacabra.
Oh my
Sorry
goodness,
to.
that's a good one.
That's not a
Oh my
Cobra Libra.
Sorry.
It's a chupacabra.
Yeah, no, yeah. Actually, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe that's triggering forces that she's gonna be the goat. So I'll be a
All
vegan
right.
chupacabra.
There you go. There you go. Okay, Craiger.
Okay, my name is Krager. Pronouns are he, they, or anything actually too. That it's all good. And if I was going to be an animal, I would want to be a peacock because a peacock is beautiful to look at just as they are. But then when they spread the big landscape out of their entire wings or whatever you call them, they're like stunning and they're just beautiful. You have to be in awe when you see a peacock, and so that's my animal.
I will never look at you again without thinking about you as a peacock because you are that. Craig,
Or Endora on Bewitched.
You
There
are.
we go. Yep.
I got you.
Okay, Liam.
Hello, my name is Liam. My pronouns are he, him, and the animal I would be is a domesticated house cat. I
Oh.
want life to be on my terms and as easy as possible. I would love to just, even if I was an outdoor cat, like we have outdoor kitties that come and visit my house and they can take care of themselves. I mean, the neighbors all feed them because they're so cute and everybody loves them. I mean, they're social, they run in a pack, but they can brave the wilderness out there. Like they're fine. They determine their own life. They determine, how things go. And in the house, our cat is the king of the house and the best home monitor ever. So I think cats are, I would love to be as independent and as sure of myself as a domesticated house cat.
Excellent. Excellent.
My name is Drew, also he, him. You know, I was partially going to go with cat as well for the same reasons, but, you know, with the introduction of cryptozoology, I almost cannot be who I am and not say Mothman, because that would be so much fun.
What was my other answer? I was gonna say that's it.
I literally I have like 3 stuffed Mothmen so far, at least 2. I freaked out because I couldn't get the Build-A-Bear one when it first dropped because it went really, really quickly, but then it dropped again and now I have it. So yeah, that's what I have to go with.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. Okay, Kim.
Okay, well, I was gonna say my dogs, but Lynn already kind of took that, and so I think a lion. I think lions are brave and they're courageous, and it's something that I aspire to be. As I grow a little bit older, get a little braver and a little more courageous in how I deal with people, especially difficult people. So yeah, a lion.
Oh, like you eat them or what?
No, no, just you know, I just
Can
never have a
relate.
good time having conversations, you know, or heated conversations with people, because I always back down and let them tell me no, I'm wrong and stuff. And so I just need the courage and the bravery to be able to stand up and say, no, this is me and this is how I feel. So yeah.
I virtually give my courage heart to you, Kim.
Excellent.
Thank
Okay.
you, Krager. I have my little courage
Oh!
stone.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Oh,
I
that's
love it.
wonderful.
I love it.
That's awesome.
No cowardly lions here. Okay. So tonight we're talking about the decolonization of religion. So, Elsie, I was really excited when you brought up this topic. Would you like to explain what you were thinking, or explain a definition that Suzette was asking about?
Kinda. I can try.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's just a lot to unpack. A lot. But I know Suzette was asking what that meant. And for me, that means understanding how religion was brought to the continent of America, not the United States. Like, because I'm originally from Honduras. So there's also colonization where I grew up. So it's just basically understanding how religion was brought up by the colonizers, and it was used to weaponize the indigenous people and also to slave the African people. So it's important to understand that religion was, like I mentioned, brought here in for the sole purpose for that. It wasn't brought to spread the gospel of Jesus necessarily. It was just to control the masses. And I think it's a good conversation to have, so we can deconstruct that and we understand that that's not what God wanted. You know, that's not what our creator wanted for us, you know? So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Oh, I love that. I think that was a brilliant description. And Jared, I wonder if I know you were real excited about this topic. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what you envision that meaning for us in this conversation and for people today. What does that leave us with? What do we do with that?
The important thing to remember is we're not talking about history, right? We're talking about present tense, right? Like, we're not talking about like, oh, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, there was once a bad man, right? Right? You know,
I go on.
it was ladies, but it's a constant thing that, you know, we have to unpack, because we're talking not just about you know, the history of the religion and its abuse, right? we're also talking about the imposition of a moral fabric, right, on abstract things that have no, that God doesn't really, care about. Stuff like I don't know. Y'all remember those passages that are like gay people will never inherit the kingdom of heaven that we were talked about, right? That we were all beaten down, that we've that were accepted in the Bible Belt at one point in time, right? Stop unlearning those, oppressor tactics, oppressor passages, those all the Clobber passages are examples of colonizer tools, right? That are used to control behavior, to force assimilation where everybody's the same, right? And ultimately shame people into a form of obedience, right? And that's just one example, right? There's policing how someone dresses, right? Like sort of like when what is it? When the military, when a lot more cults, right? And formalized churches find themselves, judging one another based on that tit for tat of, oh, God would never, though that skirt is far too short, right? To like policing exactly like the way you talk, right? Like what? Oh, God would never approve of that word. You can't say y'all, or ain't a word, right? You cannot say ain't, right?
Or swearing. That's with every joke, And Lisa did that right. I went to one of Lisa's gigs right on the day after my ordination, and she's like, "Oh, now that we have Reverend Carol in the house, I can't use my colorful language."
But yes, right? All these control tactics, right, that were beaten into us from these a theological point of view, right, all have to be unlearned because they're all tools of oppression. Because what we're talking about are tactics that have caused, that have given humans excuses to shame and other humans. And that's not what God's all about, right? We're talking about connection. We're talking about unity. We're talking about oneness, right? And like holding people accountable to their mixed fabrics is not what we're talking about, right? That's decolonize. That's the action of decolonizing, in my opinion.
Yeah, one of the things that I have said in the past several times is that good religion isn't about rules at all. It's about relationship. It's about relationship with the sacred. It's about relationship with each other. It's about all of our connections. So I think there are a lot of different ways to go about decolonizing, right? And I think you've hit on some of the main categories of how we do that. I think I mean I've been reading some about just post-colonial theory with and the word post not really meaning that we're done with it, because there are certainly lots of those influences still there. But post as in let's reimagine what we can be without that. Another point is that there's no pre-colonial Christianity. There, Jesus lived in an occupied nation, and I mean throughout biblical history there were, there was colonization. There was so anyway, I think theology has looked at it from several different points, and I think the start was kind of with liberation theology, but that really, that was just kind of primarily lifting up the poor and the disadvantaged, and I think it failed to take in some gender differences and things, and so I think feminist and then womanist theology took more of that in, and I think queer theology is to me kind of the umbrella over everything, that just kind of we're able to really just turn things on their head, and look at deconstructing in a way that I think is pretty unique and special. Yes, Marco?
Oh, I có cái cầm ba gì mà cái cầm ba
What?
you
Liam?
no.
Who? Jared?
Wait. Yeah, cái why.
That's right. Oh, you're just kind of saying, giving an amen in there.
Yeah, cái why. Cái God.
Awesome.
You the baddest, in like a good way.
So, well, that was just kind of some of my thoughts. I've been my one of my theology professors has written quite a few books on post-colonial theology. Her name is Kiesling, and Kiesling was an awesome instructor, and her ideas, she was born in Hong Kong, and she fought like in the 70s for things like just to get English. I mean, I didn't realize this until 1971. English was the only official language in China. So every time new laws or anything came out, the common people had to have them translated I mean, how crazy is that? That's just, that to me is a different example, but she, just in the little bit that I listened to this week, she was really pointing out how one of the ways that we deconstruct, and one of the ways we get away from the thinking of colonizers and empire is to get back to some native spiritualities and things like that, things that glorify nature, don't tend to control it, things like that. And I think that's one of the ways that women have been put down too. That in fact, in the introduction of her book, she mentioned, like, that's one of the arguments, is that women are supposed to be inferior to men, just as in nature is subdued by culture. And native cultures tend to not think that way. And feminist theology doesn't tend to think that way. It more lifts up nature, and as a, not as subjugated by culture, or not in any way inferior, just as women are not inferior to men.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's also important to know how colonialism plays a role in our society, especially in our church, or in like our society in general. Like, we live in a colonial society. Like, one of the things that I realized is that even though it's one of the sacraments, like marriage came about by the Catholic Church to control the masses. Not everybody wants to get married, not everybody necessarily want to get married, but because that's what the church said, now everybody has to get married. And then, like you said, like how going back to a lot of those indigenous practices and beliefs is extremely important to help with this. But what happened in our society is that there's a lot of like I don't remember how to say this word, demonization. Like, they think that going back to indigenous practices and doing what indigenous people were doing what African people were doing is the devil's work, which is not true, because ultimately a lot of these practices believe in a creator, in a source, in these these entity. But because we grew up in such a colonized, oppressed society, it's like, okay, we can't do what they're doing, because if we do, we're going to hell, which is, once again, like the condemning of whatever we do outside of the rules that they had. That's
Right.
colonization. Like, that's not true.
Right, exactly. Yes, that's part of the
Yeah.
colonial mindset, and that's a part of the way that people are controlled, right? Okay, Liam.
Yeah, so this conversation, so enlightening, has really brought to the forefront of my mind two things that I think of when I think of colonized religion. And the first one is a whitewashed Jesus. Jesus has been so whitewashed. Jesus nowadays is a Republican American, right? So that's colonizing. The white Jesus artwork that we see is colonizing. I've heard people that are not of faith say things like Christianity is European fan fiction or European mythology. And my thought is that's so wrong, because we're talking about a Middle Eastern Jewish man, right? But the way that Christianity has been presented to our society has been so, it's just enmeshed with it. It is kind of a European mythology that we're selling to people, right? When really, if we go back to the roots of our faith, it's Middle Eastern Jewish faith. So this conversation makes me think of that, makes me think of all of the people that have this perception that Jesus was this white man with abs, this perception of the Crusades and not of the freedom fighter that Jesus
And
was.
long hair.
Right. And yeah, so there's all sorts of things that are different. Jesus most likely had curls. Jesus most likely did not have hair like we see in this artwork. Absolutely. And then another thing, oh man, I think I just lost it. Oh yes, another thing it made me think of is in terms of liberation theology, which was mentioned, and South American, Central American liberation theology. I mean, we have folk saints. We have saints that aren't canonized maybe in the official Catholic Church, but they are of spiritual importance to these people, vast spiritual importance. I'm thinking like Santa Muerte, things like this, these folk saints, and they have such a rich spiritual, cultural significance, but they're seen as less than or not valid, even though a lot of the saints we have weren't there in biblical times. So why not? Why are these cultures not able to make their own saints? So these are the things that I'm thinking about.
Okay, Gregor.
Okay, go.
Okay, so last weekend when Paul and I were in Houston, we had the opportunity to visit the Museum of Fine Art, and they had an exhibit that we paid for. It was called Living with the Gods: Art, Beliefs, and Peoples. And so we spent a good 2 hours walking through the entire exhibit, and there was a good amount of focus on Jesus in the paintings and whatnot. And when we were on our way out, I turned to Paul and I said, "Ooh, I just saw a whole lot of white Jesus in there." Like, I mean, and these paintings are like, from what, 1572 or, whatever the year was. But it was just, based on what I know now, it was shocking to go into that exhibit and see so much white Jesus. There was a few displays of art that I thought depicted Jesus as Jesus was, a Jewish Middle Eastern man that was not of white color. But so yeah, what this whole thing about decolonization, this whole thing started so many hundreds of years ago. It's going to take us a hot minute to get out of this, y'all.
But there's no place to start like now. Kim?
Okay, I just have a question because I'm still trying to understand this whole thing. I mean, I'm not the brightest person in the world, so I'm just trying. I mean, I've looked up definitions so I can try to keep up with the conversations. But I guess my question is what effect would decolonization of religion have on the LGBTQ community?
Oh,
Good
That
question.
Yeah, that is a very good question. So since Leo and Jared already had their next hand up anyway, I bet they have an answer.
I'll
Jared.
bet.
We had a conversation a hot minute ago that was about tarot, astrology, and alternative mysticism, right? And being able to give credence to different expressions of your spiritual system, right? And this idea, right, like that I don't understand, right? That I don't know if this belongs in the church, or I don't know if this, there's a space for alternative ways that don't fall within a Protestant fundamentalist viewpoint, right? How this would affect us, right? Is specifically, you may find that there are, whenever we as a church are restrained to very narrow views of a spirituality, right? Oftentimes we alienate so many people within our communities, right? Like for instance, I know that we had like a cute little what is it, Day of the Dead party, right? And so like having that expression of that the love of one's ancestors and one's lost loved ones, right? That doesn't really exist outside of Veterans Day for the Eurocentric mindset, right? You have an entire, and that's just one micro example, right? That's just a single day devoted to giving reverence, right, to one's love, right, one's lost love, right, and the spirits that exist, right? You miss out on the entire Latino community, right? By not celebrating or shaming them or othering them, right? As gay people, can we afford to, as a sexual minority, can we afford to alienate people while our church is dying? Right? While our church is losing money, while our church is talking about selling its, while our church is, struggling, right? So it directly affects us. But the barriers we place, right, and the people we shame directly affects our community, because our community is found with so many people who've walked so many diverse paths up this hill to God, right? And I can, like I learned my love of the Bible and my intuitive understanding of the Bible, and I know it from the back of my hand. You could, that's how I'm able to, talk to y'all like on the same level, not from reading the Bible, but from understanding other scriptures like the Gita, right? Like the Bhagavad Gita, right? And other many different faiths, right? Like the Quran, everything, right? And so, right, like, to put it frankly, to not enacting the act of decolonization, right, prevents people like me from being members of this church. I hope that helps, right? Like, right? Like, I hope that helps, because I don't think that there, as members of this community, I don't think that we need to put any more barriers and any more, gatekeeping tactics in between one another. There's already so many, even just in the dating pool.
Okay, Craig.
So I have some unstructured thoughts. The first one was just an echoing of the the image or the iconography of Republican Jesus, and how like co-opted the Christian religion and the general like ethos of Christ has been misused and abused throughout its transition into the Western world, and how it has kind of gone through this like anti-distillation process, where it has been so um, I hate to say this word, but in a way like perverted from what it really is and should be. And you know, a couple of sessions ago, maybe longer than that, but one of the topics we had was just about like the election and things like that. And what immediately is like flashing through my mind as we're having this conversation is, you know, you think of Houston as being the blue dot in the red state, whatever, stereotypical. But I live just outside of Houston in kind of in a small little town by itself called Meadows Place, nestled in between Sugarland and Stafford. And 2 doors down from us, there is a house that has been flying a flag for the last, I want to say 6 months, that says guns, God, and Trump. And that is to me just like the kind of like the epitome of that example of the colonization of religion, where the idea of Christ is co-opted with armaments, and the Antichrist. So there you go. So that's what's going on in my head as we have this conversation. But also, I kind of cheekily say this, but also maybe not so much. I don't know. You know, in some other religions, even that fall within the Abrahamic structure, there is generally a kind of prescription against iconism and iconography. So like against having like portraits of individuals. And you know, when I was younger, I thought, well, that's so stupid. And then now, as I see how co-opted like white Republican Jesus has gotten, I think, oh man, like maybe that was a really good idea that we should have stuck with. Because just this image of white Jesus, that has just wonderfully, he says sarcastically, proliferated itself throughout the world. Man, what a awful thing that has become. And then I think the last unstructured, or part of my unstructured thoughts, is I don't know if we can ever colonize Christianity after what it's become. But what we should strive to do at all times is to recognize what an what an outlaw Christ was in his own time, and how he stood up against religious oppression, against the established status quo, stood with the minorities of the day, and said, those who have been othered by our society, I will bring you to the table. And so the best way I think that we ourselves in our own individual ways can probably help to embody in some respect a decolonization of religion is to try to act in that fashion and to lift up those who may have had smaller voices than those of us that look closer to white Jesus, because that's what I think Jesus would do.
Okay, Elsie.
Okay, go.
Oh, that was a good answer. I had it, but then I was like paying attention, so I kind of forgot. So I'll just try to piece it together as I speak. I think is to answer your question, Kim, I think is very like harmful and dangerous. Like colonization of religion is very harmful and dangerous, and it can affect our community because, and I like to give just examples of it, just like so people understand, like more like tangible examples. One example of this is like homosexuality. Like according to whatever Bible the oppressors are reading is, hey, you're going to hell if you are attracted to your same sex, like the same thing. Like we already know this. We've, judgment has been passed. Like we've been knowing this. Like I'm so used to it. But the thing is that prior to that religion coming to, prior to religion being used as a weapon, our indigenous people and our indigenous tribes already had trans sex people, trans folks. I don't know if you all heard of the term called two-spirited in the Native American community. Like these already existed, but then the people came and were like, oh no, you can. There trans folks can exist. Homosexual folks cannot be a thing. That's not true. This is just colonization, people trying to oppress and control us. That's why I think it's extremely important for our community to understand that a lot of this thing is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for the word.
I think what I want to go back to Kim's question too, and just kind of get to the basics of the word, because I think just saying decolonization, let's just get back to where that word came from. So colonizing is like England or whoever just, violently taking over a country. And there are so many examples in our world today, and people give it biblical, they make it seem like it's okay because based on scripture, like Joshua was gonna take over the land. God gave him the land, and he's gonna overcome all these people who were already there, and so I think what we're saying about colonization is about empire. It's about violence. It's about just taking over. Whereas, so decolonization, we're trying to get back to like the basics of what we're trying to do here. What we're trying to create. We're trying to deconstruct and reconstruct an image of God that is not toxic, and that shows that God is love, that God is not judgmental, that things are equal. And I think that's what we talk about in our religious circles as the kingdom of God. I really like that hyphenated word, kin / DOM, not kingdom. We're not, and I even think that seeing God as a king can be very harmful and part of the empire. And so I think that using the language that we use is one of the ways that we help change our own thinking into thinking about God and thinking about our world in a different way. Like well, I'm not gonna find it in my notes, I don't think, but just thinking about, just imagining what the world. Oh, we had a session on the song Imagine. Just imagine what the world would be like if we were if where justice and freedom prevail. And I think that's what we're all called to do, is to bring the kingdom into being. So that was one of my thoughts, and I want to but I also want to talk about religious pluralism that Jared spoke to some, and that Quilon talks about a lot. Just I think just being more accepting and just opening our ears, just listening and connecting to people of other religions and other spiritualities really helps. And back to the gender, and this relates to the gender issue that we talked about too, and inclusive language. One of the things that I learned just in this little bit of the book that I was looking at is that in China, the inclusive language in terms of the Godhead is not, well, I guess that's kind of a hierarchical word too, isn't it? Godhead. But anyway, the using feminine words for God is not really necessary because the pronouns in that language that they use for God are separate than the feminine and masculine pronouns that they use for humans. So God has God's own pronouns in that language. So that's one thing, but also many cultures have feminine Christ-like images. And some examples that she gave were like the corn maiden in some Native American spiritualities, and Shakti in Hindu religions, and she also used the example of by Jesus in the queer communities. And so you know, I just think that opening our minds up and opening up to more global understanding of different peoples, different religions. You know, what does it mean to be political in Islamic countries and thought processes and things like that? What does it mean to be in a more religiously pluralistic society like many of the Asian countries? You know what? So anyway, I'm sorry I talked too long. Okay, Theo, Jared, whichever one raised your hand.
Okay. No, I was just going to share that, for example, in the Aztec, I guess, culture, like, I believe that if the Aztecs were never colonized, Mother Earth wouldn't be in such trouble that it is now, because a lot of our gods, there were gods of water, earth, trees, nature. And it's like you take, but you also replenish what you take from the earth. And I think if we were never colonized, that we wouldn't have as much pollution. Or not only that, but I think that the world would be looking at the Aztecs to see what they're doing and how we can better our world. Yeah. And this is one of the gods that I pray to. So yeah.
What's the name?
It's
Is that Quetzal?
no,
No,
it's Huitzilopochtli. Yeah.
Beautiful.
But yeah.
Beautiful.
But yeah.
Well, we're nearing the end of the hour, but I want everybody that wants to speak to. This has been a fabulous discussion. I'm really excited. And Liam, I hope that dropping in to learn, I wonder, did you accomplish what you came for, or are you in the process of accomplishing?
And made friends along the way. I'm
Yay.
excited to join your community.
Yay, wonderful. Wonderful. Wow.
So can I boil this down to just, I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm just not in the right frame of mind tonight or something. So if we have decolonization of religion, then that would just pretty much make everyone more accepting of everyone else. And that's it basically in a nutshell, right?
Yes.
That we would be looked at
way
the
to
same
put
way
it.
that they look at themselves. They would look at us the same way. We would look at that group of people the same way we look at ourselves and all that, right? Is that what we're saying in a nutshell here without
That's a
going?
brilliant way to put it. That is a
Okay.
brilliant way to put it. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
way
Okay.
I would frame it, Kim, is that you don't have to be a white cisgender male in order in order to have a path to Jesus and to God. It's just, yeah, that's the colonization just makes you think that you have to be just this. And if you're not that, well, you're just 2 or 3 steps behind. And it's the biggest lie we've ever been told. And some of us have believed it, even if it's only for a period of time. And so the thing that I was thinking every morning when I wake up and go to work, I have a notepad on my desk, and I wake up at 4 in the morning and I turn my machine on and I write on my notepad the date, and then immediately below the date, I write down the words, begin with love. Begin with love. Now, you're going to face all kind of stress during the day. I don't care what kind of job you have or what you do for a living, but if you can begin your day with love, it puts a whole mindset. I think this is one of the things that Christ was asking us to do, like in the Beatitudes, and in Matthew 25. I struggle to even remember when is the last time I heard that preached at Resurrection, let alone anywhere else. Have I heard the Beatitudes lately coming from the pulpit at Resurrection, or have I heard Matthew 25? Whatever you do to the least of these, you have done to me. And so I think that's what our conversation always needs to be about. Always. What have I done to the least of these? I have done to Christ. And that's tough. It's hard. It's not a feel good thing, but I think that's where the Christ was asking us to land in that space, and begin with love, and reach out and do something good. Do something good.
The title of Denise's sermon at my ordination was "Love is Only the Beginning." We used the verses from 1 John. I always just, I mean, everything I believe can be encapsulated in God is love and love is God. Love is God.
Carol, was that Denise Junius or?
Yes.
It was. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, it's on Facebook. I don't think it's been put on YouTube at this point. I don't know if Suzette's still planning to do that, but yeah, it's on Facebook. So if y'all want to see it, but yeah, it was awesome, and I got to watch the recording of Resurrection, and oh my God, forever blessed. Well, forever bless me. That was an awesome service. And so, Renee Phillips was in Lubbock for like 20, decades. And so I felt kind of like we kind of switched places. I was in Lubbock and she was at Resurrection. So anyway, any pressing things that you want to say before we, I need to say, next week is Thanksgiving, so I'm not planning on us meeting on Thanksgiving, or I assume y'all are all good with that. Okay.
Good with that.
And we'll start back the following week. Craig?
Oh, I have I guess, maybe suggestion for future topic. Kind of related to this, one thing I would like to discuss is religion. I guess it's kind of like ancillary relation to this topic of conversation, but religion as a source of control outside of Christianity. Because this is not the only religion that has been a domineering source within a society. So I would like to, I think that really kind of like takes us out of our general scope, but I think that would be an interesting topic to see if there are other cultures that have encountered the same things, and like where they may have pivoted from that, or where they may still be stuck in that rut as well.
What if we expand it slightly to, rather than just religions, right? We do cultures of exploitation.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
yeah, because like it, like there, yeah, you could get like the same rubric in a lot of theologies, and right, there's the governmental backbone, right, and there's the systemic issues, right, and a lot of the act of decolonization involves mentioning things like race, systemic depression, right, money, all these things,
Right.
and oh girl,
Yeah.
Is this a multi-part series?
Wow.
Yeah. So I was going to say that decolonization simply is a description for a dominant culture in whatever country that imposes its cultural norms and beliefs and prejudices on the group that is there.
Yeah.
And so that's the simplest way to think of it. Is the dominant culture is always going to impose its belief, its prejudices, its norms on the people that it can. So
Well,
the way yeah.
yeah, that's that. Yes. Okay, so we've got another topic that would just kind of go on the tails of this. So we could do that next. One of the topics that I brought up a few weeks ago that I'd really like I think would be a little bit lighter, but still political, kind of in the same feeling that this is the beauty as currency. I want to talk about that at some point. And before Christmas, I'd really like to just talk about incarnation, embodiment, those kind of things. So, well, maybe those two things kind of go along together too.
all three, baby, all three.
Okay, but what order okay, I'll think about what order we're doing them in, but which do y'all have a preference for which one comes next after Thanksgiving?
Craig.
Yeah.
I'd pick Craig, and then yours, and then the other yours. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next time it's the cultures of exploitation, and I hope you all have a fabulous Thanksgiving and just live in gratitude, and that makes us all feel better, doesn't it?
Yes.
Y'all.
So, Kreger, would you close us in prayer?
Can I say something?
Absolutely. I would love to.
Wait, let Elsie.
Just wanted to say thank you so much for holding space for my, I don't know, whatever was in my brain. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, it's fabulous. It was just
Yeah. It's
this
what we
was-
do. Yeah. Fit right in.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm so happy you brought it up. It was perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Holy God, Holy Spirit, Holy Mother, Holy Father, Holy Mom, Holy Dad. It's just such a blessing to come here tonight and see this beautiful group of people. Oh my goodness. This is just one of the most diverse and informed and loving groups we've ever had on God Talk. We're just grateful for each person that has come into this space tonight. We're there. Everyone is a blessing. Everyone here is a blessing, and so we just ask for your guidance and light and love. And how can we spread this message of Jesus, from the Beatitudes and from Matthew 25? We're coming into the week of Thanksgiving, and there's a lot for us to be grateful for. And one of the things I'm grateful for is all the people in this space right here and right now. I am personally grateful for each panelist that's here tonight. And I say the word panelist because these episodes are available for replay. So, God, we hope that one of your children, in some way and somehow in the future, stumbles upon this episode of God Talk, and then it really benefits them, helping them to think in a new way, or helping them to love in a new way, or helping them to be in a new way. And so we're going to continue to show up here and do this on Thursday night because we don't know our impact, but we're hoping that we're pushing love out into this world We're pushing the best that we can be out into this world. And we ask for your faithfulness, your guidance, your love, and your breath. Keep breathing us, God, today, tomorrow, and as long as you shall have us live. In Christ's holy name, we pray right now. Amen.
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 Awesome.
Amen.
Thank you guys.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Congratulations, Carol.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Carol.
Oh, let's.
That's what we bought.
Oh,
Carol.
yes.
Oh, yay.
She got soul. Get it?
Got stole.
All right.